Hi everyone, and welcome to this third episode of Friday Music Tutorials. By the way, let me know if you have a better catcher title for this series than this, and I will consider them. Anyhow, I wanted to apologize for not posting one last week, and the reason for that, and some of my students are aware of that, is my computer crashed and I wasn't able to make one last week, and my computer is still not functioning, which is strangely liberating as well as very frustrating. So I can do just a few small things on it, but I can't really do anything the size that is our project size. No audio, no video, no processing, no real stuff. So I am recording this video now on my phone, and it will be a lot more conversational and a lot less demonstrational. So we will chat about various composition techniques and problems and questions that you had. And also, I am going to give it my very best to do this video all the way straight through without editing. And if that's not possible, I'm limiting myself to 3 edits. And why am I even telling you this? It relates a little bit to the question that several of my students had at various points in time. And the question presents itself usually when composers want to explore a new technique or a new compositional tool. And then they're all excited to get on that journey. And soon enough, the question comes, which is, do I really have to be strict? And here is my answer. And again, my answers are my opinions. They're not right, and they're not the only opinions. They are just my points of view. I invite you to think about them and make your own decision. But my question is, be pretty damn strict with yourself, which is why I'm giving myself a little bit of an assignment here. See, I'm doing this for you, but I'm also doing this for me. I'm learning a new thing, and I'm giving myself challenges, and you should do the same. You should always challenge yourselves. You should be very strict when you give yourself an assignment, when you give yourself a challenge, when you give yourself a tool to explore. Why should you be strict? You are making the rules, so therefore you can break the rules. Correct. If you are going to be very flexible with your rules in breaking them, then why make them at all? In other words, these are then not necessarily rules. They are a little bit of pointers and ideas that you're playing with, which is also fine. But if your idea is to expand your vocabulary, to expand the palette of your techniques, then it will be more challenging than you think. And that's a good thing, because you are stepping into a new territory, you're learning something new, and you are going to be making mistakes. Why am I doing this again? Mistakes in a sense of you will be coming up with solutions that you don't love, and then you're going to keep trying, and then you're going to come up with more solutions that you don't love, and then you are going to eventually start discovering potentials that particular tool can give to you. If you give up too easily, and you say, for example, you're going to work with this, you're going to work on a piece employing serialism and serial 12-tone music, let's say. And then you start it, and then you feel like, well, I can also kind of step away from the rules here and there. The chances are you really are not expanding your vocabulary. You are giving yourself permission to slip right back into your own vocabulary that you're comfortable with and that you already do, and therefore you're not really gaining much. It is when you give yourself most restrictions that you come up with the best solutions. Not all of them. You're gonna have to get rid of a lot, but you might come up with something or some things that wouldn't have happened otherwise. So my advice to you is come up with a set of rules. So think about your rules almost like you think about your composition. I'm gonna write a serial piece, and these are my notes, and these are my rules. And then work with those rules until you're happy with what they offer. Not each pitch set will give you the same inspiration. Maybe they will to somebody else, but maybe not to you. So spend more time figuring out what your rules are. And once you feel like you have enough of the challenge and also enough of potential, then go ahead and give it your very best. And instead of bending the rules, try massaging your material so that it fits into the rules and it still makes you happy, even though it may sound a little strange to you. That is where it becomes a little bit uncomfortable, when you start writing a piece and you don't recognize yourself so much. It happened to me, it happened to you, I'm sure it happened to a lot of people. It happens especially in schools when you are giving a certain set of parameters and you come up with things and you feel like, well, it works, but it's not really something I would want to write. Well, that's where practice comes in, so that you're able to find the solutions within given parameters because you've explored it enough, and even though the challenges are great, you have found the set of paths to navigate through those challenges that work best for you. Is it going to be time consuming? Yes, but you have chosen to be a composer. It's a time consuming, solitary job that gives you a lot of satisfaction occasionally, and then a lot of frustration occasionally. But if you want to grow in anything, if you want to grow, you have to do something that's a little bit uncomfortable and a little bit more than just a little bit. So that said, I started this explanation with saying that I will give myself an opportunity to make 3 edits. Had I not done that, I would have still been on my first sentence. I feel a lot of mistakes talking. I should have done this clearer. I should have done this better. I should have done this later. My accent is too strong here. Who cares? I want to see if I can come up with a compelling delivery by adhering the rules, and you're going to tell me whether I succeeded. And same should go with you. Try as much as you need to. Give yourself enough time, give yourself enough freedom and a green light to mess up, and then try to do the best you can given the circumstances. Now, if you adhere to the rules too strictly, or if your rules are too strict, it may just become frustrating. So, fine, you can allow yourself a little bit of cheating here and there, but what I recommend is to do that towards the maybe middle of the end of the process, not at the beginning. Because the more that you try, and the more that you write, the more of the composition will have already been kind of decided upon, if that makes sense. I often compare composition with a game of chess, which I don't play, so you may think what you want about that. But your first move can be many things. Your second, third, 10th move is more a result of your previous move. Same with the composition. Stick with the rules, stick with the rules, do it again, throw it away, try again tomorrow, blah, 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 blah. Once it opens up, you start creating material, it starts working for you. And then you find that, you know, everything would have been perfect if only this note was a little bit of an exception, and if this measure was deleted, and if, let's say, I don't know, this harmony was inverted. And then you can give yourself a permission to do that. The chances are also that you will start to train your ear to open to new sounds, which a lot of you tell me they want to explore, but are not necessarily always convinced with what comes out. The fact may be that you're just not used to hearing yourself sounding like that. You may dislike a certain, like literally, you may dislike a certain melody, harmony, key, form, because you don't understand it. And you don't understand it because you didn't listen to it enough, or didn't write enough of it, or just were not attracted to it to begin with, so it's kind of left unexplored. But once you familiarize, that's one of my favorite words, familiarize. Once you familiarize yourselves with certain sound world, by living in it, by writing in it, it may present itself in a more compelling way to you. Becomes a little bit more of a philosophical discussion or a conversation, but it's true. I witnessed it many, many times. I resented a certain thing until I tried it, and once you try it, you open up to it. Just one more thing to add to this discussion is, and I think I mentioned it in my first or second video, it's a good idea to give yourself exercises that are not meant to end up in a piece, just like you exercise your other muscles. Give yourself a half hour a day of writing a certain exercise, and then throw it away. And again, and then again the next day, and again the next day. And the benefit is bifold. One is really you're exercising your muscles, and the more you do it, the better you get at it. And secondly, by not committing to make a real piece, you're more relaxed. If you're more relaxed, you are going to be more brave. When you're more courageous with your material, you may surprise yourself. Getting paid. This is a big topic, and it comes back every now and again. One of the questions that people ask is, how much should you get paid? And the answer is, I don't know, but you should know. And nobody can tell you what your time is worth. You are the only person who knows that. If you're a beginner, maybe you're gonna want to start lower. If you have been doing this forever, maybe you're gonna start higher. But it really doesn't matter to me, and it will not necessarily make or break the deal. If somebody went to you just because you're cheap, you should be really concerned about that. People should hire you because they want to work with you. If they are willing to pay to work with you, if they want you, they should be able to pay what you ask. If they're not able to pay what you ask, I very much suggest that whatever your rate that you figured out was fair is still listed in an invoice with a possible discount. In other words, if somebody tells you, I really love your music, what's your rate? And then you say, my rate is $50 an hour, and I estimate that I'm gonna need 10 hours to complete this project, so therefore you need to give me $500. And then the person might say, oh, this is really over my budget, but I would really like to work with you. What can we do? If you like the project enough, if you like the person enough, if you really want to do it, then you might want to say, okay, because of this and this and this and that reason, I'm going to give you a discount of whatever percentage. And then you can still put your original price in an invoice and then the amount, the discount amount, so that that person has a clear understanding that they're getting a big, good deal. It also ensures that your prices are the same across the board. So you're not making a price, for that and price for this and price range for this and price range for that. Your price range is the same, and then the negotiation that comes after can bring it down or up in rare occasions, which hasn't happened to me, but why not? Dream big. Wouldn't that be nice? Somebody tells you, what do you want? And you say $500, and he said, well, I was hoping I can give you $5,000. Wouldn't that be lovely? The trick is to start higher than you think. Why am I even saying that? Because music, or I don't know, like I've been filling out a lot of applications these days, so oftentimes music is just bulked under entertainment, which music is entertainment, but it's a lot more than that. Maybe another tutorial. But because music/entertainment has a lower value, monetary value associated with it, so most likely if you up it a little bit, it will still be underpaid compared to other professions. And I'm not talking about compared to lawyers or doctors. I'm talking about other tutors and teachers or consultants. Like, just compare your average music lesson to an average yoga lesson, and you'll see what I mean. So yes, value your time, make a price list, stick to it. But if you are willing to negotiate, then list that as a discount rather than your starting fee. And then one other addition to this is some people are uncomfortable asking for money. How funny is that? It's true though. A lot of people are, and I sometimes am, and I had to train myself to get out of that mindset. But helping yourself with a tool or two is not a bad idea. So if you feel like you're not going to be able to come out with a large number that you're hoping to get, just list it, put it on your website, and make sure that it's somewhere really visible so that when people contact you, they already know what to expect. Okay? But by all means, musicians, composers should get paid. And here's my third edit. Game over. I have to do this one straight through. And two of my students are currently working on vocal compositions, and I had asked about several pointers when writing for a 4-part choir. So here is what I would say. Vocal music tend to sound more dissonant than say piano music. When using dissonances, you're gonna hear them as more dissonant in vocal music than in instrumental music, especially if it's unaccompanied. So be mindful of that, and if you really write a lot of sevenths and seconds, nothing wrong with that. Just make sure that you're aware of that, and listen to a lot of recordings of vocal music with the score, and you'll see what I mean. The other question somebody had to do with the ranges and whether to stick with them or can they be considered a little bit more flexibly. Depending on what your source is and where your information comes from. If the information comes from, say, the commissioning ensemble or the competition rules, then by all means adhere to the rules that are given to you, because you have better chances of having it commissioned or performed. And also because they know what they can or cannot do. If you are writing to not a specific ensemble that you can call up and ask those questions, I would also be rather strict with not necessarily completely strict, but I would go safer rather than very extravagant. In chamber music, you should go safer than in solo music, and then in orchestral music, you should go safer than chamber music. And then the most important thing to me is sing it. Sing your pieces. Sibelius finale logic playbacks are convenient for certain things, but horrible for others. Please do not trust Sibelius playback for your vocal music. The best way to figure out whether your melodic lines for each voice are okay, if they're singable, if they're gonna sound okay, if they're compelling, if they make sense musically, is to sing them. Obviously you can't really sing unless you can, maybe, I don't know, this was premature to assume, but most people do not have a range of bass through soprano, so you can sing it in their original ranges, but that's fine. It really, what matters is that you check out on the phrasing, on the leading, voice leading, awkwardnesses in terms of jumps and maybe intonation, points where the intonation might be tricky. So make sure that you can sing it. If you can sing it, better singers will be singing it much better. If you can't sing it, better trained singers might still be able to sing it to an extent. So this is also what will happen with practice. You'll be able to figure out, where the limitation is on your end and where that limitation might be lifted on their end. But things like, so for example, breathing. So singers will probably have a longer breath capacity than you, but that's not necessarily the case. Maybe you play an instrument that requires breathing, so there'll be differences, but you'll get a lot out of it. And sing it solo, but also you may sing it with a like karaoke style. So play back 3 voices and sing the 4th. And when doing that, I strongly recommend that you orchestrate your other 3 voices in piano, just for practice, not for real, but for practice. Choose something clean and very much precise, something with a very well-tempered intonation like piano, and sing on top of it. And it will help you tons. That's it for today. I again apologize for this not being one of the demonstrational videos. I hope to get back to those with some Logic, Ableton, and Premiere tools that people have asked about. But I hope that this was useful and informative, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Oh, don't forget to subscribe, like if you like it, and drop me a question or two. Have a great day.